Air travel is usually routine: board, fly, arrive. But for the 193 people on American Airlines Flight 1847 from San Juan to Dallas-Fort Worth, a normal journey turned into a tense ordeal. A simple misunderstanding on board escalated into a full-blown security incident, forcing the plane to turn back and law enforcement to intervene. This wasn't about a real threat, but the perception of one, fueled by anxiety and a lack of context. The story of Flight 1847 is a powerful lesson in how quickly fear can override facts, and why clear communication and calm are essential at 30,000 feet. Let's break down how a single misinterpreted message changed everything. The spark that ignited a chain of unforeseen events was, in its essence, remarkably simple: a private text message. It was a digital whisper, intended for one recipient, yet its unintended consequences would soon ripple through the confined space of an airplane cabin. One passenger, a woman grappling with the fresh pain of a recent family loss, sat quietly in her seat, lost in her thoughts and memories. The weight of grief was palpable, a heavy cloak she wore as she journeyed, both physically and emotionally. As the plane taxied down the runway, she received a flurry of condolence messages on her phone, expressions of sympathy and support from friends and loved ones. Among them, a message containing a common abbreviation, a simple RIP. But in the already tense and heightened environment of an airplane, where anxieties often run high and personal space is at a premium, the stage was set for misunderstanding. Unbeknownst to the grieving woman, a nearby passenger, seated just a row behind, inadvertently glimpsed those 3 letters on her phone screen, and, crucially, lacking the context of the preceding messages and the woman's obvious distress, the passenger's mind raced, filling the void with a potential and terrifying threat: RIP. An abbreviation universally understood to mean rest in peace, a sentiment of solace and remembrance, was, in that fleeting moment, misread and misinterpreted as something far more sinister: a coded warning, a signal of impending danger. The reporting passenger, acting, as they believed, out of genuine concern for the safety of everyone on board, felt compelled to report their suspicions to a flight attendant. In their mind, the worst-case scenarios began to unfold, painting a vivid picture of potential catastrophe. A seemingly innocuous message had transformed into a potential harbinger of doom, a secret communication hinting at a looming danger that threatened to engulf them all. This single moment of misinterpretation, fueled by anxiety and a lack of information, set off a chain reaction of events that quickly escalated, involving flight attendants, security personnel, and ultimately all the passengers on board. It serves as a stark reminder of how easily innocent actions and simple words can be twisted and misunderstood, especially when viewed through the lens of fear and uncertainty. It highlights the fragility of understanding and the speed with which suspicion can spread, particularly when fear is already thick in the air. The lack of context, the absence of the full picture, tragically transformed a message of sympathy and heartfelt condolences into a perceived threat, a potential act of malice. One glance at a screen, one assumption based on incomplete information, and suddenly everyone's journey, their plans, and their sense of security were potentially at risk, hanging precariously in the balance. It all started with a simple, innocent, yet profoundly misunderstood text message, a stark reminder of the power of context and the dangers of jumping to conclusions. The concerned passenger quietly alerted a flight attendant, passing along their suspicion. The crew, trained to treat every report seriously, discreetly relayed the information to the cockpit. The pilots, now responsible for 193 lives, had to act fast. Protocol demanded caution. Within minutes, the decision was made: turn the plane back to San Juan. Passengers noticed the change in direction, whispers spread, and anxiety grew. The captain likely made a calm announcement, but tension was unmistakable. What began as a private message had now become a full-scale security response. The dominoes had started to fall. For American Airlines, safety trumps all else. Even a vague, unverified threat must be treated as real until proven otherwise. Turning the plane around is costly and disruptive, but the risk of ignoring a potential danger is far greater. The airline coordinated with airport authorities, TSA, and law enforcement to prepare for the plane's return. Every step followed strict protocol. Better to overreact than regret a missed warning. The airline apologized for the delay, but their priority was clear: protect everyone on board. The system, though inconvenient, is designed to eliminate risk. In the end, a safe landing is always worth the disruption. To understand the reporting passenger, consider the world we live in. If you see something, say something is drilled into us, especially on planes. The passenger saw RIP and, stripped of context, chose caution over complacency. Their decision wasn't malicious, it was a genuine attempt to protect others. They trusted the crew to investigate, believing they were doing their civic duty. While their suspicion proved unfounded, their actions highlight the fine line between vigilance and overreaction. Good intentions can still cause chaos. Sometimes being alert means risking a false alarm. For the grieving passenger, already burdened by profound loss, the journey ahead represented a necessary, albeit painful, step. They were navigating the initial stages of bereavement, a time when emotions are raw and vulnerability is heightened. Every step, every interaction carried the weight of their sorrow. The ordeal that unfolded was deeply personal, a violation of their privacy at a moment of intense emotional distress. It was a situation where empathy and understanding were paramount, yet those very qualities were tragically absent. Their private messages, carefully chosen words meant for comfort and support during this incredibly difficult time, were read and misinterpreted, taken out of context by a stranger who lacked the full picture. The intimacy of those exchanges was carelessly disregarded, leading to unforeseen and deeply upsetting consequences. Suddenly, and without warning, they were thrust into the center of a security investigation, a whirlwind of questions and scrutiny that only amplified their distress. Forced to explain the most painful details of their loss, to recount their grief to unsympathetic airline staff and detached police officers, further stripping them of their dignity, the insensitivity of the situation was staggering. What was meant to be a journey of mourning, a somber pilgrimage to find solace or closure, became a public ordeal, a spectacle of unwanted attention, compounding their already overwhelming grief with feelings of profound embarrassment, anxiety, and stress. The emotional toll was immense. This unfortunate incident serves as a stark and unsettling reminder of the critical importance of privacy, the need to protect personal information and communications, even when operating in the name of security and public safety. There must be a balance, a recognition that security protocols should not infringe upon fundamental human rights. Security measures, while necessary, must never come at the cost of human dignity, empathy, and respect. Procedures should be implemented with sensitivity and awareness, recognizing the potential for causing undue distress. Behind every alert, behind every flagged message is a real person, with a real story, a complex life filled with emotions and experiences that deserve to be acknowledged and respected. The line between vigilance and intrusion is often incredibly thin, a delicate balance that can be easily crossed with devastating consequences, highlighting the need for constant vigilance and ethical considerations in security practices. Back in San Juan, the plane was isolated and met by law enforcement and TSA. The two passengers at the heart of the incident were quietly escorted off for interviews. The grieving passenger explained the context, showing condolence messages, clarifying the meaning of RIP. Investigators quickly realized it was all a misunderstanding. The plane and luggage were thoroughly checked as a precaution. Once cleared, authorities allowed the flight to continue. The professionalism of the crew and officials ensured the situation was resolved calmly and efficiently. The system worked, but not without cost to those involved. After a 3.5-hour delay, Flight 1847 finally took off again, this time without incident. For most, it was just an unusual delay. For the two central passengers, the impact was lasting. The reporting passenger learned the importance of context and the risk of misinterpretation. The grieving passenger carried the weight of a public ordeal on top of private loss. The incident teaches us to communicate clearly, seek context, and balance vigilance with empathy. Security is vital, but so is respecting privacy. Every traveler has a story sometimes. It's not what we assume. Perspective and patience can prevent unnecessary chaos. The story surrounding the diversion of Flight 1847 is far more than just another news headline scrolling across our screens. It's not simply about an aircraft being rerouted. It's a complex tapestry woven with threads of contemporary anxieties, societal fears, and, most importantly, the critical need for empathy in an increasingly interconnected world. It serves as a powerful lesson, highlighting how easily our modern anxieties can take hold and how vital empathy is in navigating these turbulent times. This incident underscores the importance of understanding and compassion in a world where information spreads rapidly and fear can quickly escalate. It poignantly illustrates how easily fear, even when coupled with good intentions, can inadvertently disrupt the lives of many, creating ripples of inconvenience, anxiety, and even distress. The narrative reveals the delicate balance between vigilance and overreaction. All this especially when crucial context is missing or misinterpreted. The absence of complete information can lead to misunderstandings and actions that, while well-meaning, can have unintended and far-reaching consequences. The fact that the situation was resolved safely and without harm to anyone involved ultimately proves the immense value and effectiveness of robust security protocols that are in place at airports and within the aviation industry. However, it also underscores the equally important need for critical thinking and reasoned judgment when interpreting information and responding to potential threats. It's a reminder that security measures alone are not enough. They must be complemented by thoughtful analysis. The enduring message of "see something, say something" remains an absolutely vital component of maintaining safety and security in public spaces, particularly in transportation hubs. But equally important is pausing to thoughtfully consider the broader context of a situation and respecting the privacy and personal space of others. Jumping to conclusions without sufficient information can be detrimental. For travelers, this incident serves as a crucial reminder to remain vigilant and aware of their surroundings while navigating airports and airplanes. But it's also a call to cultivate compassion and understanding towards fellow passengers and to approach situations with a willingness to help and support one another. For airlines, the incident highlights the critical need to invest in comprehensive training programs for flight crews. These programs should focus on de-escalation techniques, effective communication strategies, and clear protocols for handling sensitive situations with empathy and professionalism. Ultimately, the story of Flight 1847 serves as a powerful reminder, urging us all to fly forward, not just in the literal sense of air travel, but also in our collective journey as a society, with a renewed commitment to empathy, patience, and unwavering respect for one another's perspectives and experiences. In the end, it's clear that safety and humanity are not mutually exclusive goals, but rather essential companions that must travel together, guiding us towards a more secure and compassionate future.